Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the HerStoryTV and the HerStory Podcast. This is Getrude Matshe here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia, and I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman coming to us from this part of the world. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hello everyone, my name is Joëlle M.A Kabamba. I live in Melbourne, Australia, and my story is quite a fascinating one. I'm 49-year-old, yet to marry, single, and I find the subject of singleness incredibly fascinating, seeing I've walked the journey. And in that journey, it has been a challenge in terms of also how you are, people engage with you on different aspects of whether it's work, in regard to work or socially sometimes. I've heard people say, how can a gorgeous girl like you still be single? And often I go, is that to imply that this not so gorgeous should be the one that should remain single? And I suppose with that, the stigmas that has surrounded, I've consistently had people, because of my status, would state certain feedback or responses, which has made me always feeling like I am less than because I'm not partnered with someone. But on the contrary, for me, I found my singleness a liberating opportunity to take the time to invest into other people's lives, where I've traveled a number of places around the world to invest in, for example, the vulnerable, those particularly my country of birth, DRC Congo, where I traveled many times in terms of helping young women and women who were gang raped, be able to bring, creating projects to help them and sustain them to have incomes and be able to face life again after such hard journey that they've had to walk, being able to go into schools and speaking to young people about how to take care of their body and have dignity in the way they live life, has provided me for many great opportunity as a single person as a result of my status.
Now, you have touched on an interesting subject, a subject that a lot of women struggle with, no matter which country they come from. Being single at a certain age does raise a lot of issues for women. But tell me a little bit about how you have come to be so centered in who you are as a person. A lot of times we're all looking for love on the outside of ourselves, looking for it in other people. And then when it doesn't work out, we feel let down. How have you navigated that space?
Yes, I find for me it's been, I suppose when I was young in my 20s, I didn't want to get too caught up in relationship because I was a little bit immature in thinking that it was having a boyfriend would get in the way of me staying focused in life. And I suppose my faith plays a very, very important part in my world. And so I wanted to focus on serving God and doing trips and doing mission projects and things like that. But I won't say that at the same time, there weren't challenging days regarding my singleness. I believe that because of my faith, I surrounded myself and created a community where I learned to do life with others. And I suppose in doing life with others, it means becoming vulnerable, identifying people that I can be vulnerable with, to share some of my areas, weaknesses, areas that I found were challenging, and then also areas of joy and strength, which we're able, once you do that, you create that kind of environment where there is safety. You feel that it helps to be able to engage with life a little bit. So not doing it alone, but doing it with a community of people. And as I said, my faith, prayer has been an important part of my life, and engaging in a conversation and relationship with God has always sustained and maintained for me to stay focused.
I love that. And in terms of home, family, community,
Mm.
perceptions of what people's expectations of you should have been. I know, especially in our African culture, it can be very, very challenging to deal with the aunties, the uncles, constantly asking you questions. How do you respond when they ask you why you're not married yet?
Oh gosh, you're so right about, family and coming from a culture where there's, for example, coming from a large family, there's 13 children, 10 girls and 3 men. So yes, those subjects have often come about. I suppose there's been time where it's been difficult, even if you say no. The desire is there that, yes, I didn't choose to say I don't ever want to marry, no. But I suppose the circumstances has made me to be where I am today. And what I've had to do is to choose to make the most of it instead of choosing to live miserably. And so with parents, and I've had conversation with them sometime, my late mum was supportive and understood circumstances. And then my father, it was a journey for him to come around that as well, and still is. And I can understand their father's heart, parents' heart, sometimes wanting the best for their children. But the discussion around sometimes circumstances, saying that it's not that I want to remain single for the entirety of my life. It's just circumstances and the people that have asked for your hand in marriage. You want to make sure that you are connecting with someone who is, there's suitability with you and pursuing certain things that, also resonate with your heart. So I'm not going to lie, it's not always been an easy conversation, but we try and make the most of how we can navigate it.
I love that. Now, you come from a large family. You said 10 girls, 3 boys. So you're obviously constantly being compared, right? As part of a large family. That would be a challenge. Now, when you came to Australia, you have been on quite a mission and quite a drive, like you said, to create a community of young single women who are in this space and supporting each other. If someone was to come to you today who is single and is thinking, what's my next step? What should I do? What 3 nuggets of wisdom would you give them based on what's been your experience up to this point?
Yes, thank you for that. I think for me, as I said earlier, because of my faith, it comes back to knowing your identity, knowing who you are and whose you are. And so that's something that I established a long time, because when we don't, our identity is, it's not, we're not founded on strong identity. We risk always just being swayed by whatever opinion and whatever comes our way. But I would say it's about knowing who you are, particularly knowing whose you are. And as a person of faith, it is about us understanding that we're daughters of the King, daughters of God, who created us. And because He who created us then also knows how to help us in areas where when challenges hit. So I also think it's about community. Yes, it's also about knowing our identity. And it's also about having motives in life. We have to have motive that drives us to do things that we're passionate about, things that we know is going to not just shift our lives, but shift the lives of others. I'm one of those who has often talked about, a life well lived is a life shared. So I think it's about learning how we can position ourselves so we're able to share lives with others.
I love that. Just knowing who you are, that's a very, very powerful statement. Because when you are centered in your very being, whatever comes doesn't sway you. You don't, you know that you make all the choices in your life. You decide which direction you want your life to go. So despite the pressure society might put on you, that shouldn't really affect you as much. Now, going forwards in your life, where do you see yourself, let's say 10 years from now? What are your wishes and aspirations?
Well, hopefully, God willing, still doing what I'm currently doing, which is always about helping others. Currently, as mentioned, I write as well. So I'm a writer. I released a book recently on singleness to, again, affirm and bring value to single women and remind them that they're not an afterthought in God's mind. So as a result of that, I'm currently working on a project to coach single women that are finding themselves stuck and unable to step and don't know what the next thing would be. So I'd love to walk along their journey, alongside them, to be able to assist them in seeing beyond just their singleness, beyond their status, because I believe that there's a lot more to life than just our status. And sometimes we can get stuck in just that, wanting that partner, and forgetting to live for now, and also forgetting to live into the future. So my hope is that this life coach will be able to assist many women to thrive and live bigger than just their status.
Now, the theme for our upcoming summit is the power of giving. And it seems to me you have done this most of your life. The work that you've done back home, the work you're doing now with this project here in Australia. Why is giving so important for the future of humanity, do you think?
Wow, that's a great question. I suppose giving, it's always great to give than it is sometimes to receive. And I think that the greatest thing is be able to, when you give, and to see how it's changing that person's life, and being part of seeing the joy that one can bring for having to align themselves with someone and be able to walk that journey. I think it's incredibly fulfilling. I don't know of a life where all you do is just claiming for me, myself, and I. It gets to a point where it just becomes really depleting. So I think life is about extending ourselves to others. It's about sharing. That's humanity. We can't live solo. We can't live on just ourselves. It's all about looking beyond ourselves and seeing how we can make the world a better place, and that means having eyes outside ourselves.
I love that. So can you think of one incident, one thing that happened in your life where your life was changed when someone gave to you?
Yes. Thank you. I think there's so many stories. One is, I would go my greatest hero, and that's my late mum. My mother was an incredible giver. And I recall a situation, I mean, the fact that she's a mother, that's giving in itself right there. But if I can recall even just the way she prayed for me to be the woman I am today, that's incredible giving. And how did she do that? Every morning, she would wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning and pray for her family, and then started her day and ensure that the house was ready for a new day. And I think that's massive. And today I find myself waking up at 5 o'clock early in the morning and having that solitude, quiet time as well, because she invested and gave to me to be the person that I am today. And that's why I suppose I consistently continue to give as a result of that. Yeah.
You had an amazing role model.
Yes.
Amazing role model who set the path for you. So give us one example of what changed your life when you gave to someone else.
I remember I worked with young people for a very long time, and I was a high school chaplain. I can remember I used to take 5 minutes at assembly to just bring a word of encouragement to our school community. And little did I know, at the end of the year of one of the year 12 graduation, one of the school captain got up there and said, if it wasn't for my chaplain, I would not be here today. And then he disclosed the story of how he lived in a home where his dad kept saying to him how he will amount to nothing. He will become just like his dad, who was an alcoholic and who did nothing but just put him down. And then he got up there and said, today I finished school, and I was on the brink of not actually completing my high school years, but because of one woman who consistently came to school and reminded us and gave us story at assembly, or opened her office for us to come and talk to her. today I'm finishing school honoring her because of what she did. So if he says that, I thought to myself, how many more young people that may not have gotten up there to say something, but were able to make a difference in a young man who today went on to be a lawyer. And that was something that his dad said he could never do.
Wow. Well, that is absolutely beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah, giving is like a drug sometimes, because my grandmother used to say, when you give to other people, you're actually giving to yourself.
Yeah.
It feeds your soul, and that this world, this universe is like a bank, and we have to keep depositing good deeds.
Right.
And they do come back tenfold in very unexpected ways too.
Yes, so true. So true.
Wow, Joëlle, thank you so much for coming online and sharing with us today your amazing story. We're looking forward to having you as one of our speakers for International Women's Month in March. Is there a possibility that you will run a workshop during the month as well?
I'd like to. If I'm given an opportunity, I'll do so. I'd love
For
to do it.
single women, yeah, there's a lot of ladies out there needing help, needing support.
Yeah.
So thank you for gracing us with your presence. Is there any way that people can get hold of you? Do you have a website, an email that we can share?
Yeah, there's an email that can be shared. I'm also on Instagram. So Joëlle the author is also another way that people sometimes reach out to me. But I'm just typing now info for my email address.
Yes, do put that in the private chat, and we can share it with the community and people can get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So Thank you. And then I've just send out to my page for Insta, so people. Oh, sorry, it's at not J, but just Joëlle the author. The at there is wrong, is in the wrong place.
Okay, so let's see. I'll just show your website first.
Yeah, website.
Find you on Instagram, correct?
Yeah, the last one is the correct one.
Okay.
Spacebetweenpublication.com is the website as well.
Excellent. Well, everybody, these are the contact details. Instagram. Please connect with Joëlle if you are inspired to learn more. And yes, we will persuade her to run a workshop at the Her Story Online Summit coming up very soon. Have a fantastic day, everybody, wherever you are in the world. And Joëlle, we're really looking forward to having you grace us with your presence again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye for now, everybody.
Bye-bye.